What is going on, everybody? So today we have episode number 2 of our Forex Mastery Series for beginners. Today, as you can see on the screen, we are going to look over this Google document that I typed up for you all and just go over currency types. This isn't so fun, but it's very, very important, and it's important that you understand this as you develop as a trader. So when we talk about currency types, guys, we're gonna have a couple different options we can look at. The first thing you need to know is that we have something called a base currency. So the base currencies would be, as you can see, the euro, okay, Great Britain pound, Canadian dollar, Japanese yen, New Zealand dollar, Australian dollar, and lastly, Swiss franc. So we use abbreviations in Forex to essentially just shorten. Instead of writing, euro, Great Britain pound, Canadian dollar, we literally just use 3-letter abbreviations to make things simpler. So the first thing you need to know is that we have, I think it's about, about 7 base currencies, okay? Euro, Great Britain pound, Canadian dollar, Japanese yen, New Zealand, Australian, Swiss franc. Then you're gonna notice that directly under this, we have major pairs. What does that really mean? So when we trade currencies, guys, we trade them in pairs, and the major pairs that you can actually go trade, any regulated broker will allow you to trade, the major pairs in most miners. In this case, the majors that we have, the most commonly traded Forex pair is the euro against the US dollar. So we put them together. You have one base currency, euro. Oh my gosh, how did I mess this up? We forgot the US dollar, one of the most important ones, right? So we have 8 base currencies, including the US dollar. And what we do is that we pair them up in groups. And that's pretty much what makes a currency pair. So the major pairs, and this is what I recommend all beginners, that you start looking at the major pairs. You have the euro and the US dollar. You have the US dollar against the Japanese yen. You have the Great Britain pound and the US dollar. US dollar and the Canadian dollar. Australian and the US dollar. New Zealand dollar and the US. And then US against the Swiss franc. Once again, not so fun, right? But this is really important that you understand this and definitely take notes, because this is going to be key information to help you with the correct building blocks along your journey. So we have Euro US dollar, USD JPY, GBP USD, USD CAD, AUD USD, NZD USD, and USD CHF. Now, to make your lives a lot easier, you see how it's so wordy to say Euro US dollar, EUR USD. We actually abbreviate it in Forex lingo with just the initials, essentially. EU for Euro US dollar, UJ for USD JPY, GU for your pound dollar, etc., etc., etc. So next thing that I want to talk to you guys about are what we call the crosses or the minors. So we went over the base currencies, we went over the major pairs. Now we're going to talk about the minor currency pairs. Now, what does that mean? So the foreign exchange crosses, they derive from non-US dollar pairs. Pretty straightforward. So anything in the minors is something that is not a USD, derivative. It means it doesn't come from the US dollar. Now, with the Forex crosses / minors, they're pretty much the same thing. We're just going to call them minors for this sake. So with the minors, you're going to notice that the most commonly traded Forex minors are the Great Britain pound, euro, Japanese yen, okay? And once again, we're combining all the different combinations. So it's different combinations of minors with one another, and with a minor and a major. So let me see. We have pound Australian, pound Canadian, pound New Zealand, pound Swiss franc, euro Canadian, euro Australian, euro franc, euro pound, euro yen, pound yen, Canadian yen, Australian yen, so on and so forth. Now, we're using the same currencies interchangeably to create different currency pairs. Guys, each currency pair represents a different market. So each different pair that you see on the screen, EU, UJ, pound dollar, UC, dollar Canadian, so on and so forth. Each of these different pairs represent a different market that you can actually trade. So next, what I want to talk to you guys about are the exotic currency pairs. Now, what an exotic is, they're the least common out of the three. First, the majors are the most traded, minors are second most traded, exotics are the third traded, in that order. Now, the exotics are unique because they're essentially going to have a major established economy paired along with a not so developed economy. So essentially a first world economy against a third world economy. For example, we have the US dollar and the Mexican. Okay, the Mexican dollar. You have the US dollar against the ZAR, which is the South African currency. So you have the US dollar against the Mexican peso, then you have the US dollar against the ZAR, which is the South African currency. So on and so forth, right? Now, the reason people like to trade the exotics, even though they're the least common amongst the major minors and, exotics, right, is because, guys, the exotics actually have the highest price fluctuations because since the economies are developing, the fluctuations in their currencies can be very volatile. I do not recommend that you look into this as a beginner, and quite frankly, as an expert, I don't even touch those either. I stick to majors and minors, and that's my bread and butter. But obviously, I want to let you know what the different options are, so you don't hear anything from a different source. You're like, well, I didn't hear about that from Mike's course. What is he talking about? I want you to know what everything is. Exotics are going to be a major currency pair from an established economy paired with a currency from a third world developing economy. So next and last but not least, what we have here are currency pairs. I kind of just told you about it, pairs, right? But I want to explain to you exactly how that works. Now, a currency pair is comprised of two different currencies, right? Two things make a pair. Pretty straightforward. In this case, guys, the currency pair, the first three letters that you see in the pair, like in this case, for example, is what we call the base currency. So you see up here, A, base currencies, right? You're going to see this right down here in the example. So we're just going to use EU, euro dollar, because it's, the easiest example. The base currency means that when you place an order in the market, you're going to place it based off of what you believe the base will do. So let me break that down because I know it can be a little confusing. It's actually very simple. So we have a base currency against a quote. For example, if I want to buy, and I don't really have an arrow, let's just keep it simple. I use a little, do I have one of those things? There we go. So, boom. Do I have a down one? I'm looking at my keyboard. This is like ancient technology. Okay, no, I don't. But you guys will get the idea. So if I'm going to place a buy on the euro dollar, then that means I anticipate that the value of the euro will be stronger than the US dollar in that moment in time. So I would actually buy EU because I believe at that moment I'm looking at the market, the euro should go up and the dollar goes down. Pretty straightforward. Euro goes up, dollar goes down, Euro USD will go up because Euro USD is following the strength of the euro. The base is what determines if the market goes up or down. Now, granted, if your quote, which is the US dollar, is very, very weak, it will naturally just make the euro go up as well. So they work in an inverse correlation. If you're trading EU, euro US dollar, and let's say the dollar has some crazy news and the economy tanks, the euro will generally, euro USD in that pair, will cause the pair to go up in value. Okay, so once again, if the value of the euro is stronger than the US dollar, you would buy euro USD. Maybe the euro isn't having a huge pump in the economy today, but the dollar itself could be having a terrible bloodbath on the market. That will cause the euro to be stronger in value than the dollar because the dollar is going so down. Granted, that's why you want to understand base and quote currencies, because when you place an order in the market, it's going to generally be based off of the base. It's going to generally be based off the base. So you guys get what I'm saying, right? It can be a little confusing. Play it back and just take the notes. It's pretty straightforward. If the value of one currency is stronger than the other, you will buy it. If the value of the US dollar is stronger than the euro, you would sell euro USD. So pretty much the inverse of what I just said. Let's say the dollar is having an amazing day in the economy. Let's say we're cutting rates, which is a whole other topic of conversation. Now the market's going to go up in value, right? Now, when this happens, the value of the US dollar would be stronger than the euro. So if, for example, on a highly news traded day, like CPI, right? And we'll go over that later, fundamentals, but just stay with me for now. If the value of the US dollar is stronger than the euro, you're going to sell euro USD, because if the US dollar is going up and we know that the dollar is going to go up, we should look for sells on euro US dollar, because in this case, the value of the dollar will beat the value of the euro. So essentially, guys, the base currency determines how you will enter the market. Pretty straightforward. If we believe the base currency to be weaker than the quote, then essentially we will look to sell. If we believe that the base currency will be stronger than the quote, we will look to buy. Pretty straightforward. Now, next, guys, as you can see, last but not least, we can obviously buy or sell different markets. We can buy or sell any trade that we enter, okay? So even if the economy is crashing and you can identify that, guys, you can still make money, which is a very good thing. Forex doesn't discriminate up or down. All we need is for the direction to be right at the right time. So guys, you can buy or sell, meaning that you can make money on the way up or on the way down, regardless of whatever the market actually does. Now, we are trading the relative value of exchange rates. So when we put a currency pair together, each currency pair has an exchange rate. That is what we are actually trading when we enter a financial market in, Forex, right? So essentially, when we are trading the value of exchange rates, since rates constantly fluctuate, it's going to be a non-stop battle, okay? Meaning that the market is constantly going head to head. Who's going to beat who? Obviously, guys, all economies generally want to go up, but that's not what happens over time. Economies tank, things happen, interest rates, data, economic, geopolitical events like wars. Guys, a lot of different things affect the economy, right? So even when the economy goes down, you can still make money as long as you understand how to enter the market. So the knowledge of the base and quote is a huge building block for you to comprehend what you're actually doing. Now, I know it's more of like a lecture. We're not looking at the charts. It's not as fun or, sexy looking. It's just words on a screen. You're like, dude, what the are you talking about? Guys, this is really important for you to understand. So the market can only go three ways, guys. Up, down, and we're going to the next lesson. Up, down, and sideways. Okay. So when the market goes up, we call that bullish. When the market goes down, we call that bearish. And when the market goes sideways, we call that consolidation. Up, bullish, down, bearish, sideways, consolidation. And what I'll do for you now is I'll quickly find an example in the market, because I know you probably want to see some charts, just so you can kind of understand. Okay, when the market, like right here, right, this example goes up, that is what we call bullish, right? When the market goes down, like here, that's what we call bearish. And then like in a situation like this, that's what we call consolidation. Even though we're still trending up, the market's moving essentially sideways in that situation. Pretty straightforward. Now, lastly, guys, as you can see here, when I look at, my trading view, which don't worry, I'm going to explain this to you in another video. I got you. You see all these different numbers on the right? So for example, I open this up and then you see this says pound dollar. So here you see this little black bubble to the right. That shows me the live market rate. So right now, the exchange rate between the Great Britain pound and the US dollar means that 1 pound in Great Britain is worth about it's worth more than the dollar. It's worth exactly 1.3. So 1 US dollar and equivalent to the Great Britain pound, you can see that in this situation, the pound actually has a higher value than the US dollar in this situation, right? Now, the Great Britain pound, and even, let's say, well, I don't even have Euro USD, but Euro USD, yeah, let's just pull this one up really quickly, which is the most common one. You see that in this case, the euro is going down, right? And as the euro goes down, the value of the euro also decreases. So essentially, right now, 1 US dollar is not worth 1 euro. Same deal with the pound and the US dollar, right? In this situation, the euro has about a 1.09 exchange rate. So if I go to Europe and I need to use a euro, I put in $1, I'm not going to get $1 back in the euro, right? So 1 euro is worth about 1.09 compared to the US dollar. So $1 in Europe, in their money, is $1. But for us, if we want to get $1 out of the euro, in equivalent, it's going to be 109, not just the $1 flat that we use in the US, right? So exchange rates fluctuate. I know that can be a little complicated, but it'll make sense as you go along throughout your journey. Euro USD is the easiest one. It's just what everybody knows. It's the major, most common Forex traded pair. 109 is the exchange rate between the euro and the US dollar. So if I go exchange, 1.09 worth of a euro, I will get $1 out of it. If I put $1 in, I'm not going to get $1 back in the euro. Pretty straightforward. Unless this number is literally like right here at 1 even. You see like that? 1.00 flat. It's the number on the right there. That is when 1 equals 1. But anything above that, the euro has a higher value to the US dollar. So guys, trading Forex is really interesting because you're literally trading the value of money. Now, I tried to keep that as simple as possible. I know it can be a little overwhelming and all these different moving parts, but it is pretty simple as you condition your mind to be familiar with the data and the information. Definitely make sure you take a screenshot of this page or write it down on your notes and go over it a couple times till it makes sense. All the key points that you need are literally under it. So you need the exotics, how the base and the quote work, etc., bullish, bearish, consolidation. I just want to introduce you to these concepts. So that is it for today's video. We are just literally going over different currency types. We are going over we went over base currencies, Forex crosses / minors, and exotics. Now I also introduced you to currency pairs with base and quote, and I'm also introducing you to bullish, bearish, and consolidation, up, down, and sideways movements in the market. So that's it for today, at least for this video. And Next, as you can see, I kind of already spoiled it, we're going to go over exchange rates and how to calculate that. So you can actually understand that on a pretty simple level. Okay, Mike, you're showing me all these numbers. What does it mean? How do I stay on top of it? That is what's next. So if you enjoyed this video, definitely thumbs up, subscribe for, to stay up to date with all the new videos, all the upcoming content. But I am about to jam out this Forex Mastery course within the next 2 weeks, about 10 days is my plan. So I think it's gonna be about 15 to 20 videos in total, and I am gonna do this to the best of my ability for you guys. So thank you for watching, stay tuned, and peace. Let's get it.